Yeah,
One
but
one by one by one, number one bib, number two bib, and they just go in order.
it's cool with the secret picks though. Like the other people didn't know where the top 10 went. I think that's cool.
Yeah. All right. Let's roll 38. Okay. Oh, we're live. Okay.
Just don't worry, I can edit it out.
Welcome back, everybody, for episode 38 of the Triathlon Preview Show.
Hey everyone.
So we have a pretty special episode for everybody. Obviously, we're in the Rio Triathlon coming up later this weekend, or this week, and then this weekend for the women's. And we do have some Ironman 70.3 and full races sprinkled in there too.
Yeah, but I'm super psyched for the Rio Olympics, and it's like the one thing they're showing live on TV. Actually, everything else has been tape delayed, so I'm pretty psyched.
Yeah, the tape delay is kind of pissing me off. I think a lot of people, because I mean, with social media this day, basically, it's like you can't go on social media if if you want to watch it live in theory, right?
Yep.
So, all right, let's
Yeah.
go on and start with some Ironman races, get them out of the way. Let's start over in Europe with the we'll just start with Copenhagen then. So Ironman Copenhagen.
Yeah, so just a men's list there, and I think the big stories are it's just Raylert is validating, and he did this last year. He did Mont Tremblant last year, and then had a great race at Kona, getting second. So he's doing that again, and then Cam Brown is starting, and then you got some other people, Will Clark, and things like that. So not a huge list, and we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty of the season. So big names are missing, so to speak.
Yep. Obviously, some people will be going for points. Some people will be looking for the win, some money late in the season. So people just validating. So it should be an interesting race. Probably unknown how it could unfold, though.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
then
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Oh,
Sweden.
yeah. So women's list, pretty small. We got 7 on the list, and don't know if they're all going to show up, but I don't know if any of these women are really on the Kona bubble, but going Ironman win and some cash is always good for the resume. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that's what's going on over in Europe.
7 women on the start list. Kind of disappointing for a women's only race, but hopefully they'll be able to work out that women's only, men's only races better next year.
It's a like you see, and everybody is hot to get in a lot of racing, and then it starts to dwindle out. So they need to kind of come up with better timing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move over to North America. One more Ironman Mont Tremblant. This is a men and women's race.
Yep, $100,000 prize purse. So it's basically just double the 70.3 course, good roads, and someone like Paul Matthews, I think he wants a good payday. It's not really about Kona. He might get to Kona, but he just wants like to make some cash. And then you got some Canadians in there, and it's a popular race. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, the female list is small again. I think some of these ladies might fall off too. I mean, I don't know if Mary Beth Ellis would be starting. Maybe she might. Up good money up, so definitely good opportunity for females late in the year at this race to get some good money and points for Kona. Basically one of the last races.
Yeah, and I think the two kind of that are on the big bubble for Kona are Jess Jones and Laura Wassner. So if they can, turn in podium for performances, they might slip in there and qualify for Kona on the second draw, so to speak.
Yep. All right, let's move over to our last race for we have 70.3 Timberman in North America.
Yeah, always a popular one. Potts did fall off the list, but like you and I were saying, he's in good form, so he's gonna put the hammer down for Kona. You got Leon Griffin, Tim O'Donnell. I'm sure Tim's in the midst of some big Kona training, but he always seems to turn up for this race. Jared Schumacher, Chris Baird, Taylor Reed, Tyler Butterfield, who's had a little bit of injury this year, but trying to get back at it. Um, and then women's side, pretty good list. Miranda's coming over with Tim. I wonder if this will be her last race before Kona. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly. I think this is always a good race. I think people are training through this race, so I'm not sure if we'll see everybody in true form. So it'll be interesting if somebody more like Taylor Reed or Magali, not looking towards Kona, looking for some good 70.3 points and cash, if they'll kind of excel past everybody else, that's going through the Kona build.
Yeah, and Magalee's been out a little bit. She was supposed to do V spotting last weekend, had a bit of a foot injury or twisted something, and decided to do this one instead, as she's getting ready for 70.3 Worlds. And then you got Jen Spielander coming off her Calgary win. She's probably the strong, so she'll definitely be out in the front, and we'll see how long she stays there.
All right. Well, let's move over to what everybody's talking about. Obviously, we blew through those pretty fast, but I think everybody cares about the Olympics. So we're going to start with the men's race, since we do have some pontoon start numbers and stuff like that. I guess we'll start with a little course information because obviously nobody really races on this course only once before.
Yeah, so ocean swim, and it's a beach start, so that's always interesting, kind of running into the water, and then there could be, I think, some surf. From what I've seen, it's a little rolly out there. I don't know if you watch the open water swim races, but it's I wouldn't say it's been choppy, but it's rolly. So I think that could affect some things. So one loop swim, 8 loops on the bike, 2 big hills each loop, plus descents. And then the other parts are kind of flat. And then the run is just along to the sun, so it definitely could get hot.
All right. So based on countries, and they were grouped together, and those were your spots are in transition. And then we had the start order, basically, where you'll start left to right and the orders. And Emily will give a little information on how they did that draw.
Yeah, so it was top 10, did top 10 in the ITU Olympic rankings, did secret picks. So what we are assuming is they went in, the top 10 made their picks, and then they came out, and then the rest of the field made their start position picks, but they didn't know where the top 10 were positioned. So they probably knew someone took, you know, spot 1, but they didn't know who that person was. So then they filled in, and then at the end the secret picks were revealed, and that's your beach start list. So
Yeah, so obviously it's up. So we're looking at the men's now, and some things away. So it's like, as Emily mentioned, it's the ITU, or it's the Olympic rankings, which we think we found, basically meaning Mola, Murray, Alarza, Vincent Louis, Pereira, both Brownlees, and Bailey, and a couple more people. But basically that was the list. So from what I see, it looks like a lot of the top 10 is on the left side, except 2. And that would be the Brownlee brothers are far, far right with number 1 and number 2.
yeah, and they are around a lot of good swimmers. They've got Showman there, Fabian, Burkankov, Varga. Uh, so I feel like when you watch this, I mean, obviously you're going to have people in the middle, but there might be kind of 2 groups that end up forming, and then what happens after that, like where the exact position of the buoy is, and then current. I mean, there could be current, but I think the Brownlees did not want to be anywhere near Murray or Mola because they don't want them in their group. They want
Yeah.
to draw. Oh, and Louis. I mean, they probably want to get not. I mean, if you don't have to deal with Vincent Louis, then great.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I see. I see Louis, Murray, and Mola all pick the left side, and then Alistair and Jonathan. It looked like they were further in the rankings, like 8 and 9, and they were like, "Hey, all those guys are on this side. We'll see you guys later. We're picking the far right, and we'll do what we do and race our own race as hard as we can."
Yeah. I mean, if they want to eliminate kind of as many people as they can. I mean, and even if say they don't eliminate Vincent Louis, say he ends up latching onto their group, he's going to have to do a lot of work. He's the best swimmer over there. He's going to have to do a lot of work kind of on his own. And Aaron Royal is actually over there as well. So, he was at the front in Leeds working with Jonathan and Alistair. So it's like, okay, Vincent Louis might catch on, but he might drag Royal with him. The Brownlees maybe don't care too much about that, but they probably don't want Louis there. Although Louis hasn't raced a WTS all year, so we don't know exactly where his 10K fitness is. I'm sure it's good, but I mean, this is like usually you do a race to blow out the cobwebs.
This is his race to blow out the cobwebs.
Yeah, but you know how I mean, I'm sure he's done some racing. I think he did some French Grand Prix, and those are quick, short sprint races, so you get in the transitions and stuff. But there's the intensity of this. I think it's hard to duplicate, especially when people are going to be jacked. Like this is once every 4 years, and everybody's going to take risks for that.
Oh
reason.
yeah, I mean definitely. I mean we saw Murray's enthusiasm coming back from his first race, and I mean that wasn't even the Olympics. I mean just magnify that by 10, and that's what everybody's going to be on. But I think from the start list is if the Brownlees can get behind Varga and Schumann and kind of just sit on their legs and let them do the work, because obviously Varga and Schumann, that's kind of their thing, is coming out of the water, and fighting for that, privilege of being the first out of the water at Rio. I think the Brownlees will have no problem letting them go ahead and swim their hearts out and, see if they can break away from everybody else.
No, and they're used to swimming with Varga. Varga trains with them, so I'm sure they have a plan because Varga knows he can't run with them, right? But he's part of the equation for the Brownlees, and he's willing to probably work hard for his friends and training partners.
Yeah, so. I mean, the Olympics is supposed to be this individual, sport. And it's not individual in triathlon. I mean, they were talking about like the 10K for the women, and the world record was broken with no whatever those people are called, that
Pacers.
You'll run 8 Pacers. It was broken. I mean, there's no Pacers in the 10K. Well, there's definitely team tactics in triathlon. I mean, you talk about domestiques, but then you also talk about just training partners that, like you said, Varga is not going to run with the Brownlees, but I'm sure the Brownlees are saying, hey, dude, you lead us out in the swim or the bike, help us on the bike a little bit, and we'll thank you in the end,
Yeah.
So there's definitely some tactics that are to be played in this race. Obviously, it all comes down to the run, but any little break that anybody can get off of Mola and Murray is definitely welcomed.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look, we can talk about, I think it's hard to look at the dynamics of the test event and say, oh, that's how it'll play out, because the people were worried about qualifications for the Olympics there. So it was a little different as far as people's motivation to like work hard in a break or do this or do that. I think people played it a little bit more safely. But you had Gomez, who's obviously not racing, and then Vincent Louis was second, and then Murray ran his way onto the podium. So he came from behind, past Alistair Brownlee. Jonathan has actually never raced this course. I'm sure he knows the ins and outs from Alistair. But my question is, I know the Brownlees have been training in Brazil the last couple of weeks. Like, how are they going to handle the heat? Because this is like the complete opposite of London as far as it's non-wetsuit, it's hilly on the bike, and it's going to be hot. Whereas London was wetsuit, flat, and cloudy and cool on the run.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up that good point. The Brownlees have been doing good on these European races the past couple, 2 or 3 races, winning and seconds. They did better in the colder atmosphere. So it'll definitely be interesting. I think the other thing is they're definitely, like you said, they're down here early. They're getting ready for this. They're doing what they need to do to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, and see how many people of, maybe some Brazilians or the Mexican.
Grajales.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to respond to the more humidity type race better, I just don't see that the Brownlees are going to come without their best, and their best is going to be, better than everybody else, at least, majority of them.
Yeah, I mean, like someone like Mola, he's done well in the hot races, like Gold Coast this year. Jonathan kind of, well, definitely not kind of, he did fade in the heat. But I mean, at this point, it's further. Jonathan is fitter now. He's done some heat acclimatization, excuse me. So I think it'll be a little different. And the fitter you are, the better you are at handling this. So I'm sure everyone is. I mean, they're super fit. I mean, the question is like who overdid it, because some people might overtrain and they end up a bit flat. You can see that too.
Yeah, and you mentioned on being flat. I mean, like you said earlier, Vincent Louis. I mean, just replicating that Olympic distance speed, you can't do WTS. And as far as a WTS race, and maybe he did want to not do any, but then also the injury played a factor into it. But it'll be interesting to see if he has that get up and go, or that late endurance in the run where he's going to need it.
Yeah, and that is the one thing. I mean, he's younger, so he doesn't have as many miles, I guess, so to speak, behind him. But he, in the past, like last year, he was a little bit stronger over the 5K than he was over the 10K, because he was leading Gomez last year at this race and then kind of faded towards the end. But he's another year stronger. But did the injury set that back a little bit? Did he lose some running time? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. And my other question is like Richard Murray, like he was so jacked up in Hamburg, so much so that he got DQ'd. Like, is he gonna like funnel that passion for good at this race and just like relax and race and not be so like bull in a china shop?
I mean, I think, yeah, I think he had, I say him, he had a big mistake, but still, it was one mistake that he put the wetsuit in the wrong bin. If that didn't happen, he would have he'd been racing Mola for the win, right? Yeah.
Right.
So basically, it was one small thing that turned into a bigger thing, and the emotion just came out because obviously he didn't know what was going on, and he was mad because it was his first race back. But I'm thinking he has the goods. I mean, he is ready. He won that duathlon, the World Championship. He finished second. I mean, he is well ready for this race, I feel like, and he's going to bring all that emotion to the table, and that's going to be good. He might miss the first swim pack, and need to pull back up this, the first group. And he's going to need some extra boost. And if that comes from mental boost, then that's where he needs it.
Right. And we should talk about the United States men. So they're kind of all in the middle.
Who?
The US men. So
Oh.
they're all in the middle. You have Ben Canute, who's been on the front of bike packs. He's one of the strongest swimmers. So he might be able to get up there with the Brownlees, and I'm sure they would be happy to have him if he's ready to do some
they
work.
Would love to have Ben Canute in the front bike pack. He loves to go off the front and do whatever he can. Even if it looks dumb sometimes, he's always wanting somebody to go with. And the Brownlees will definitely go with him if they're there. I mean, that's a no-brainer for them. Ben Canute, lead for the first 30 seconds, and then we'll drop you, 2 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Joe Malloy, who does really well in the heat, he's a strong runner, strong swimmer. Greg Billington, maybe a little bit weaker in the swim, but strong cyclist and runner. So it's just, I don't know. It's hard to pick.
Do you see any team tactics or training buddies playing a factor into this race at the end of the day? Going like, let's just say, top three, and you'd be like, that guy got top three or that guy won because of the team tactics.
Well, I mean, if there's a bike breakaway and it's Alistair, and if it's Brownlee's and Varga and I don't know, Fabian, I don't know if they're friends with him, but I think that they'll all work really hard together. And then it would be kind of a run between Alistair and Jonathan, and then whoever, can Mario Mola make up the gap. I think there'll be a little bit of team tactics, but in the end, it's going to be, I think, the strong.
It's not going to matter, is what you're saying.
Not as much, no. I think it could matter in the water a little bit and towards the beginning of the bike, but then once they're on the bike, I mean, the Brownlees don't need anybody else if they have each other.
I mean, that's a good point. They don't need anybody. It's just depending. The bike course is technical, and so smaller packs, I feel like in this course, are going to have an advantage than a bigger pack. So if 3 or 4 I think 3 or 4 is an optimal number. Maybe even 2 can get away and stay away on this course. So it'll definitely be interesting from that perspective. I think small packs can get away, and I think people will know that, and they will try to take advantage of that and see what they can happen.
Yeah. So who are your picks for the podium?
Okay, so from a perspective, I think there's a couple people that can win. And I think it includes Alistair, Jonathan. I'm just going down the list. Mola, Murray, and Vincent Louis. Those 5, I feel like, can win. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that all 5 of those are going to be in the top 3, because I think some of them are going to make mistakes as far as they're going to push too hard because they're too far behind, or somebody, one of those 5 is going to have to blow up, or they're just going to push too hard or something. But I think my top 5 is, or top 3. So I said this a while ago on another show. I said that Mola would win if he got in the front swim pack. I think he's too good of a runner, and he'll do what he needs to do on the bike if he's in that front swim pack. But I just don't know, with looking at these pontoon start and then where the good swimmers are and the non-wetsuit, I just don't know if he'll make it. So I think it's going to be Brownlee's 1, 2, and then it's going to be Mola for 3rd. But I just don't know what Brownlee's going to win.
Yeah. That's good. Who's your dark horse?
What are we talking? Somebody out of the top 10 of the rankings?
Someone who could finish in the top 5 that maybe you wouldn't expect, because it's going to happen.
See, I think that person is going to be the team tactic person. I mean, just because the other people are gonna work for them in their country and going to help, but that might be. I wouldn't even consider like Vincent Hernandez or Alarza a dark pick, because they've been doing so good this year.
Yeah,
they've been killing it. But like, I mean, if one of those 2, I mean, I think are more than capable, but they've been so good this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think someone like Royal.
Yes, Royal. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, and someone like Tyler Mislachuk, I think he could finish in the top 10.
Maybe Tony Dodds. I mean, he's got some bike skills.
Yeah. I don't know. And, I don't count out Joe Malloy. I think
he can run. I mean, what he won, non-draft, but Alcatraz. And then he also did, what was the other one he did? He won.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Um,
Um,
well, also did really well at Gold Coast. He was sixth there, and it was a
yeah.
hotter type run. He's a smaller guy, stature wise. It's it all depends what happens on the bike.
So I'm going to go. I'm going to go. So I think if I read this correctly, Jonathan has never beaten Alistair when like Alistair is fully healthy or something.
Oh yuck!
I think when
Poor Jonathan, the one guy who's always better than you is your brother.
yeah, so basically what I'm saying though is it's going to be reversed. I'm going Jonathan is going to beat the younger brother is going to beat the older brother. This is the pass of the torch. And
Okay.
then Mola's third.
I think I'm wondering, Christian Bloomfeld, remember how he was running with everybody in Yokohama and they're like, he's gonna fade, he's gonna fade.
Never
He
did.
ran yeah, he never did. And he ran a 15 flat, like 15:04 at Montreal a couple weeks ago. Granted, it might not be quite
But
as
he's a
hot.
bigger dude though, isn't he?
Yes, he's
That's
bigger, and that's the problem because it's gonna be hotter. So he might overheat a bit.
all
But
right. Well, what are you picking?
oh gosh, I was trying to put it on you. Um, I'm gonna go Alistair because man, he's a gamer. Um, I'm also gonna go that he might pass out at the finish line or stagger a bit in the heat, but he'll be fine. But he pushes that hard. I'm gonna go second place. I'm gonna go Mola. I think he's gonna have to run up there though, and I'm gonna go Jonathan Brownlee for third. He's gonna repeat his bronze medal, and then I think Murray will be fourth, and Vincent Louis might be fifth, and then
Wow.
Alarza will be up there. I think Roy will be up there. I should just pick everyone so that I'm not wrong.
So we just picked the same podium, but a little flip flop. A lot of flip flop actually.
Yeah. We'll see.
I mean, I think you can look at and there's only so many people that have the goods to win. And so
Oh,
basically you pick three of those five or six guys and you pick them. And you pick guys that have been in that position before, like Brownlee's, and then you pick the unstoppable run of Mola. I mean, it's just there. It's going to depend where they are on the run. A lot of them.
yep. I agree.
All right, let's move on to the women's race because I think this is even more tactical.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for the women's race, we do not have a beach start pontoon draw yet. They're doing that Thursday afternoon, so it'll be after the men's race. Possibly there could be some influences, maybe to see how the right side or the left side got better. I don't know. We'll see. The currents could change or the wind. They might have a better indication what it will be like on Thursday, rather than today for Saturday.
Right. I think there's a chance of rain actually on Saturday. So I think that's a big thing to consider on a slightly technical bike course with some downhills and people riding in groups. That could either cause people to be a lot more cautious or they're still really daring. And then we're going to see some people go down.
So, talking about the top 10, it looks like we have Gwen, Hewitt, True, Zephyrus, Rachel Clommer, Flora Duffy,
Ueda.
Ueda, Holland.
Stimson doesn't count because she's not there.
Yeah, so then maybe Gentle would definitely, and then maybe Moffat, Emma. So you basically have the three U.S. ladies. You'll have only one Great Britain, and then a couple of the other bigger names too, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't even speculate on how the pontoon draw is going to go. I'm assuming that people would probably want to stay. The good swimmers might want to stay. I don't know. It's weird because it's different here as far as like the good swimmers aren't going to really like people like Oliveira and Routier. They're not really going to challenge Gwen over the whole distance, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's a little different. I think Duffy might want to get away from Gwen because Duffy wants to get away from Gwen the whole time. So um
Like Holland. I mean, will Holland want to be near Gwen? I mean, even they're even True and Zephyrus. Do they want to be near Gwen?
no, but they'll probably end up near her on the bike. I I just don't know. And I think we have no idea how like someone like Nicholas Spierig is gonna swim. I mean, she's been doing really well in some Olympic distance races and she did a couple halves, but like how good is she going to swim in this type of swim? And where's she going to be? Because if she's coming through a little bit behind on the bike, like everybody's going to be fighting for her wheel. Like, is she going to end up dragging everybody up to Flora Duffy? Like, that would suck.
No, nobody's catching Flora Duffy.
So you think there's no way that Nicola, if she comes out behind of Flora Duffy, could get up to Flora Duffy?
No, because I think Flora Duffy's going to play one card and one card only, and that is to bike away from everybody like she's done, recently. And I think that's an awesome idea for her. I mean, I think that's her token. Why would you not play your best card you have available? I am the best biker here, or I am one of the best bikers here, and I'm going to use it to my advantage.
Right, but like we don't know like how strong Nicola really is. Like Nicola has been like a beast on the bike. Like does she could, she's 30 seconds behind. Could she make up that gap? Like, especially what if Flora's up by herself and like Jenkins and Hewitt and stuff are in the group and then Spierig's in the group. Like it could well be that Hewitt, Jenkins, and Spierig or something like get something going,
See, I see Spierig being further behind than Hewitt, though, and like
Yeah.
and Jenkins. So basic, I don't. I think Spierig's gonna she possibly could have to do a lot more work to get back up to that front pack if she comes out in that second pack, or even she's more. I feel like she's more of a mid second pack swimmer right now, but nobody really knows, I guess, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Soto says he changed her stroke and everything. Like, is she coming out with someone like Ashley Gentle? And then Ashley's a really strong cyclist. I mean, we saw her pull everybody or pull herself up to the front in Yokohama and then finish second there.
Exactly.
So if that's dangerous because Nicola could bring someone like Ashley up, and then that's Ashley can run.
Or
that's
she brings non-Stanford up.
Right, and because Non hasn't been swimming quite as well, her swims have been a little off this year. So she brings Non up, and I mean,
you just brought two amazing runners up with you, and
right. And like I think like if there's a train going by, like I'm totally think that Gwen is a good enough cyclist to get on it. So then like is Spierig not going to work to get to the front if she's dragging Gwen with her?
So I think that what you mentioned right there is very interesting. Well, okay, how about first? Do you think Gwen's going to make the front pack swim?
She was like only like 15 or 16 seconds off last year at this race. And I mean, it's going to depend on the water conditions and like how much it breaks everybody up. Like if it's a choppier swim, you'll see more small groups. I get the feeling that like Gwen wasn't super happy with her swim in Hamburg and everything. So that makes me think that like she'll have a really good swim because she'll be like pissed about it and like I'm going to have a good swim here. So I mean it's all like it's so key as far as like positioning around that first buoy and stuff. Like she could have a great swim, but like you get dunked under and people are aggressive and like I mean just being instead of being like the fourth person, if you're the 10th, like that could be a couple seconds. They don't have to strip wetsuits or anything, but Flora Duffy doesn't need much to get away.
Exactly. And if you're 10th, you're hoping that 9, 8, 7, 6 don't let a little gap go on 5, because then you can't do anything about it when you're sitting in 10th if a gap happens between 5 and 6. Like you're in that second pack now, and no matter there's nothing you can do. So depending on how far she's up there, if she's sitting in 4th or 5th or 6th, if she sees a slight break happen, she can react, but you can't react in 10th or 11th or 12th. I mean, if a break happens in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah. And it very well, I mean, because there's a little bit of a run from the beach to the transition, so she could make up some time there because she's such a strong runner. But it's gonna, I think it'll also depend on the motivation about people around her. Like if there's say like, let's just say Hewitt and Duffy and Jenkins get away again. Let's do a redo of Gold Coast. It probably won't happen that way, but I don't think that the other people in the group that Gwen's in are not going to work to get up there because they want to try to win. It's going to let 3 go up the road. So that plays to Gwen's. I mean, that's good for Gwen, I think. But
I agree with you there. I feel like the people, the others, meaning whoever's still left with Gwen, have made a flaw in the past couple races, and they haven't helped Gwen to get up to that first. Because basically, now Gwen's with you, and you're like, oh, well, that's one person that's going to, go up. But now we've also let 3 people go up the road, and now we're out of the podium contention for, medals. Like if 3 people go, like you have to help Gwen go get them, because now you're taking yourself out of the podium. If you let 3 people go up the road, you need to help the best runner. And if that means helping the best runner win gold, then that's what you do to put yourself in position for silver or bronze. Don't you agree?
Yes. Yeah. And the one thing, though, that you said in the men's preview, which I think is true, is the fact that it is a technical course. And if it's raining, smaller groups are better. So it's hard for a big group to chase like a smaller group, if that happens.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen and we have a big old group, then I don't know, dynamics are all weird. And I'm sure you're going to have people trying to go off the front. But like in every race so far this year, it's been Duffy way out in front, and she's not afraid to go way out in front, and she'll do it on her own. So
Yes.
If Duffy's riding the way she's been riding, I fully expect to see her off the front, and who's with her, we'll just have to wait and see.
And I think anybody in this field would have to be crazy if they think they can run with Gwen. I mean, basically she's run from behind the past couple races, so we've kind of been able to see where her run is, because before it's like when she's running in the first pack, she doesn't have to run the last 2K. But now we're seeing her have to run the whole 5K, the whole 10K. So we kind of see where her run is, and nobody's even close still. I mean, I think, what was it? Zephyrus. So Gwen caught up a lot in Zephyrus in the first, or 2, what was that? 2.5?
2.5.
2.5K, but then not a lot in the second 2.5K. But still, she still had the fastest run. So if you want to win gold, you have to get away from Gwen on the bike. You have to get a lead. You have to.
And I think you have to have 2 minutes at least.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that. Wow, meaning yeah. That's probably right. That's a lot of time though.
Because I don't think like, Helen Jenkins beat her at Gold Coast. And that was a great effort. But I think Helen was like on for that race because it was qualification. So she was like tip top, right?
Yeah, yes.
And I don't think Gwen was tip top shape. And I don't think, I mean, you saw 6 weeks later, or however, it might have been a little less than 6 weeks, how Gwen ran in Yokohama, which was like 2 minutes faster than Gold Coast. I mean, obviously it was a different course. I know this, but she ran insanely fast. I just don't think that you saw the best Gwen in Gold Coast, but you saw a really close to best Helen Jenkins in Gold Coast because it was like all or nothing for her to qualify.
Yes.
So I think if you would have had Gwen kind of at her top, like I honestly think Gwen could have run her down because it was only like a minute or a minute and 18 at the finish or something like that. And I think Gwen was at like 95% or something. So I think if she's 2 minutes back, I honestly think she could catch up, especially if it's hot and the people in the front have had to do a lot of work to get those 2 minutes.
I also think it depends who's there. Like if you're talking one good runner with two, like let's say three get away or two get away, and you only have one good runner in that pack, that one runner doesn't have anybody else to push them to run as fast as they, yeah, Gwen's coming, but still, I feel like you go faster when somebody else is right next to your hip and you're both pushing each other. But if there's
Right.
only one runner going off, you're running scared from Gwen.
And you're just
So,
suffering by
and you're just
yourself.
suffering by yourself. But if there's someone else on your hip that's suffering just as much as you, and basically you're fighting somebody else right there, rather than, okay, how much time do I have? How much time do I have? How much time do I have? And you're just, fighting it by yourself. That's awful.
Yeah.
So if Duffy's out by herself, or whoever's out by herself, if there's somebody else with her, that 2 minutes might need to be less.
Yeah. And what do you think? Do you think Nicholas Spierig, like, can she run with Gwen? I mean, she
I
ran
don't.
a 1:14 half marathon.
Yeah, and what she do that? She did there a 5K or a 10K like time trial on a track, and it was like
No, it was a
cra
3K. It was
3K.
9:07. 9:07. That's crazy fast.
I, uh,
We just don't
you
know.
know, we just don't know. I mean, a 3K on a track is nothing like a 10K after you swim and bike. And yes, was the 1:14 that was in a half
Half.
Ironman, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that she possibly can get close. I think the problem with that could be where she is, though, like in the swim, in the bike, and how much work she has to do in the swim, in the bike compared to Gwen. Sure, let's say that Gwen and Nicole and Spierig do like the exact same amount of work in the swim and the bike, and they come off together. Then I mean, it could be an exciting 10K.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking actually at Seto's Twitter feed to try to glean anything, but he's like the psychological kind of master. But I mean, she hasn't left. She's probably leaving tomorrow to go to Rio.
Well, I
So
hope that her bike doesn't get damaged like Gentle does. I don't know if you sure if you saw the Gentle's
yeah,
bike
I
got
did.
destroyed, and
You, the
the other
good
guy, her
thing,
coach is bringing one.
yeah, I mean, luckily she's got a great sponsor in Felt, and I'm sure they are able, like, if your bike's going to get damaged, like that might be a good place to like have a problem, because I'm sure there's lots of bikes and parts and frames, and I'm sure Felt will have her, she won't even have to stress about it. She will have a new bike delivered to her room and be totally fine.
Yeah,
You
I mean
know.
that, but if you're coming on Wednesday or Thursday, or you're cutting it close already.
That's how Seto rolls though. It's either you go in way ahead of time or you go in right away or like right before and you race, and that's it. So you don't give your body time to like get all funky. That's how Soto is. Like you go in 3 days beforehand or 10 days beforehand and not in between.
So we've been talking about Gwen and everybody else, but we haven't mentioned Sarah or Katie yet.
Yes. I mean, Sarah was your fourth place finisher.
That hurts.
Yeah, it
I
does.
mean, this is it. This is her last shot. I
Hmm.
mean, I feel like this is her last shot. So, I mean, and Katie's the younger. This is her first one. Like, that's totally two to right there. From an experience, you barely miss out, and then the newcomer to the Olympics.
It's like I think sometimes like ignorance is bliss. Like Katie's kind of got no pressure. She can just go race. That's it. All you have to do is just race. Just go as hard as you can. Whereas Sarah might be thinking like, okay, I gotta just race, obviously, but like this is it. And that type of, I don't know what her, how she's been training as, if that's like gets in your head, but I mean, obviously I don't know her, but she hasn't been training with a squad this year. I think she's been training more on her own and with some guys like up in Flagstaff. I'm sure she's super fit. I also wonder, her husband didn't make the Olympic team and they kind of had hoped to do that together. A is that a bit of a downer? Or is that going to provide some inspiration as far as like, I'm doing this for us?
Yeah, I agree. I think how you take that misfortune and turn it around into a positive or negative really depends on the person you are. And I'm thinking the way that they are from what I see from an outsider is she's going to take that misfortune of not having been on to a positive and say, hey, I'm doing this for both of us. I'm racing my heart out for us as a family.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's tough. I don't know, like, I don't know if I think it's I think with the talent that's up there and the running, I don't know if like we haven't seen her run like that this year. So, leading into London, you saw more of that. She was up near the front a lot. Uh, so she has it, whether she has it on Saturday. That's the question.
All right. So on the bike, do you see somebody getting away?
Yeah, Duffy.
And anybody else or just Duffy?
I don't know. Hewitt is like my sentimental favorite to get a medal. So I'd love to see Hewitt near the front, and she's so consistent. Um, I think it'd be great. Like I'm kind of like giving a pick away or whatever, but like I so want Hewitt to get a medal.
So going back to the qualification, the Rio test event, we had Gwen 1, Vicky 2, and Non 3.
I think it was Stanford and then Holland.
Okay,
I
so
think. Don't
swap
quote me.
those.
Yeah.
Where do you see this playing out?
I mean, Stanford is definitely like one of your top runners for sure. Like her and Holland were able to push Gwen at the grand finale and last year.
But push. I mean, what does that mean though? Does Gwen toy with them for 8K and then say bye at the last 2K?
Probably. Um, the thing is like Stanford hasn't been in the front packs in her last couple races. So she needs to have a big swim to be up there. Or she's going to have to do more work on the bike to get up there, and then that affects your run, right?
Yeah.
But she's been training in Brazil with the British team. They know how to get people ready for big events, so you can't count them out at all. Um, I don't know if they would be in a bike breakaway. Maybe Vicky Holland. Um, I just don't know. It, I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, then who's your podium?
um, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Gwen. And I'm gonna go Gwen, Duffy, Hewitt. Yeah, Gwen, Duffy, Hewitt. Spearig for fourth. I have no idea.
No idea. Yeah, I think the women's is I think I'm going Gwen for the win. I mean, just if she doesn't have any mechanical,
Yeah.
I think she's winning. I heard 10K is just too good. Too good. I mean, she's going like you said, 2 minutes. I mean, it could possibly be like 2:15 if it needs to be. Like, I'm serious. I mean, I don't feel like we've seen Gwen run as fast as she can when she needs to do it. And if she needs to if she's that far behind, we're going to see an interesting race because she's going to go flying by people. You know how we usually see Gwen like for the first like 800 or 1,000, it's usually slow. She takes her time putting her shoes on. That won't be happening. I mean, it will be full on as fast as you can go.
Right.
But yeah, I think Gwen's going to win. But where I think I don't know is I don't know what's going to happen for two and three. From like just the perspective of the men's race, I think there's so many women that can finish 2-3. Where the men, it's like here's your 6 and pick your 6. But I mean, like you said, Hewitt and Duffy, but then True and Zephyrus. I mean, we're talking. We had all U.S. women's podiums last year.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
one the one thing I will say about that though, and not to discount Katie or Sarah in any way, is that 2015 and an Olympic year are very, very different to me as far as like everybody's freaking on.
so I'm going to go Duffy too, because I see her trying to make a break, and she's been racing phenomenal. I mean, she's
Yeah.
been killing it. So I feel like she's two. And then I am going Vicky Holland for third.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many people. I mean, Ashley
Yeah.
Gentle. Ashley Gentle is a medal
Yeah.
threat to me. I mean, it just I think a lot is going to play into how the bike plays out, and if it rains, like I don't even
It,
want to know.
if it rains, it's a game. It's a game changer for the women, especially the mega bikers. I mean, like because Duffy's totally confident in riding by herself, and especially in the rain, like you need some room. I mean, especially if you want to, if you kind of get a wiggle and you need room to get it back. And Duffy is totally confident, obviously riding by herself since she does it all the time.
And she's confident riding, I bet you, in any condition. She does freaking mountain biking.
Yeah.
Like, she's fine in the rain. Like, she will not hesitate. I don't think Nicola Spierig would hesitate in the rain. She trains in St. Moritz in Switzerland. It's rainy there. I don't think she's going to have a problem. I don't think Andrea Hewitt will have a problem in the rain. I don't think Helen Jenkins will have a problem in the rain. She lives in Britain, in Great Britain. It's freaking rainy there all the time. You just wonder about some others who get a little bit nervous, I guess, and that will play into it. But that's
Yeah,
why they race.
that is why they race. You're right. Definitely will be some interesting races, no doubt. I did see a place was taking bets though. They actually gave odds to the men and the women, and you can place bets and win some money. It was like some overseas betting site.
Yeah, they had like Katie Ledecky too. Like it was like you had to spend so much money to just win $100 on her because she was such a lock for I think it was the 400 and the 800. So yeah, there's definitely betting going on. So if you want to do it, do it.
All right. Well, that's all that we have for you. Actually, we possibly have a guest coming on later, and we'll confirm that, and it'll be at the end of the episode.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the Olympics. 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific, and it'll be live, which is exciting.
Thursday, men's.
Yep. Women on Saturday. Talk to you later.